Hello everyone, welcome back to the Baldcafe Podcast. This is episode 3, and today in this special podcast episode I'm back in England and we have a special guest. I'm here with my own father. So this is a Bald's tale, father and son tale. Hello Dad.
Hello Harry.
Hello. Right, so when we start, let's first go back to my own my story. So when I went bald, and when my hair first started falling out, and I think I came back to England, and then I told you, oh, my hair's falling. No, it wasn't. I was in China, and I think I sent you a message. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And I said to you, what did I say? I think I just said, oh, I found out my hair's falling out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I asked for some advice. Do you remember what I said or not really? I think I said, oh, I found out my hair's falling out. What did you do, and what should I do? And can you remember what you said or no?
I think I just said there's nothing much you can do about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You just have to face it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was. That's not the level of support I was looking for. But I think for a lot of people, that's not necessarily what you want to hear, but possibly but that's what you need to hear. Do you think so?
I think that's very true, because there is no cure.
Yeah, there's no cure, you're right. So I messaged you and I asked about your own, and I'd asked you a few times before about you going bald, right? This is before I even was worried about being bald. So I do know some things. But did you ever think, I mean, it's my hair, so I don't know why you would worry about my hair, but did you ever think, oh, maybe he'll go bald when he's older too, or did you not really think about that?
Only because you had mentioned it.
Oh, okay, so before that.
But it never occurred to me before you mentioned it.
Yeah.
But I think you began to voice the fear quite some time ago. So,
yeah. Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Perhaps even when you were a teenager, you would say.
I remember I mentioned in another episode or another video, when I grew my hair long for the first time, when I was about, I don't know, 14.
Yeah.
And it would look like it was falling out more in the shower.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I remember I went with Mum to the hairdressers over the road.
Yeah.
And she told me, oh, don't worry, you know, our hair falls out 100 pieces a day or something.
Well, the same thing happened to me when I was 14, 15, 16. I noticed when I washed it that it was coming out a lot. And we noticed it when you were still living at home.
Oh, really?
After you'd been in the shower or the bath.
Oh, really?
There was lots of hair, but we didn't say anything.
Yeah.
We didn't say anything because we didn't want to worry.
Yeah. Oh, really?
But
I didn't know that.
We did notice it.
Yeah, because in the shower, you know, you have that thing that stops the hair going down the plug.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so that was considered a lot. It'd been like that. So I always thought that was normal. But I mean, there was a lot of hair, when I'd washed my hair.
Yeah,
and I washed my hair like every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because you seemed so fearful of it, we decided never to mention it.
Yeah, I suppose I didn't think about that, because obviously you were bald, so I think I probably was subconsciously worried about it.
Yeah.
And then I do remember going to the hairdressers, and so yeah. Okay. But as far as, you know, I had short hair, you know, had that like short on the sides for most of the time, didn't I? And so I always thought when your hair falls out, it starts to fall out at the front.
Well, it's different for different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought, so I would always check the front of my head here. And so I would literally pull back the fringe like this, and I'd look like, oh, is it going backwards? But it never was, because obviously for me it started at the back here.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so that was your advice for me. Let's go back to you. So I was what, 26 when I first started really noticing it, but you were younger than I was.
Yeah, yeah. I was 21, and I remember it quite well. The first time anyone ever noticed it, it was my dear old Auntie Edna.
Yeah.
And I was sat down and she was standing up, and she said, oh, here, Kev, you're going bald, boy, you're going bald.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh no, because my father in turn was also bald.
Yeah.
At about the age of 21.
Right, yeah. But I'm sorry to cut you off, but I spoke to Rob, your brother, yesterday, and I heard this for the first time. He said that Grandad maintained this story that he went bald because he was sick because of the TB and in hospital, which was about the same age, and he said, oh, it's because of that. Did he ever say that to you, or not really?
No. and I don't think that was the case.
No, because he had that, you know, classic. But it wasn't like he had no hair on his head.
No.
He had hair here. Which is typical with like male pattern baldness, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was hereditary.
Hereditary, yeah. So all right, so you sat there, and your auntie Edna, right?
Yeah.
Noticed that you were going bald, but before that you hadn't really seen it or known it.
No, and I hadn't thought much about it, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a shock.
Yeah.
And I went through a period of frequent checking, I suppose.
Oh yeah.
Then I convinced myself that what she was saying was correct.
Right.
And I thought, well, there's nothing I can do. That's it.
Yeah.
And most of it was gone by the time I was 24.
Yeah. So that's what. 2 or 3 years?
2 or 3 years.
It all gone.
It was gone, yeah.
On from the top here.
Yeah.
So were you just thin all across the top here, or do you have like a bald patch at the back, or what was it?
It pretty much thinned out at an equal rate.
Oh yeah.
All over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because back then, obviously, there was no phone, so you weren't videoing it or taking pictures like I was.
No.
You were just looking in the mirror, weren't you?
That's right.
Just checking it in the mirror.
We didn't have selfies in 1976.
Yeah. Okay, so so you noticed that your hair was falling out, and then so did you have any friends, or did you ask your dad, and you know, my granddad, and say like, oh, what should I do about this, or did you not really ask anyone about it?
I don't remember ever discussing it with anybody else.
Oh yeah.
The only time I remember it being referred to by anyone, particularly when I was in my 20s, was one time when I went to a barber.
Yeah.
And he offered to style it so that I could do a comb over.
Oh really?
And I thought, oh no.
Yeah.
That was one of the worst moments.
Yeah.
I just said no, thank you.
Yeah.
Because comb overs were quite popular in those days. With, bald guys.
With older guys. Yeah.
It was the Bobby Charlton era.
Yeah. That's really. I mean, back then that was probably the only way to really sort of hide it well or cover it up well.
Yeah.
Apart from what, wigs or toupees?
Yeah.
I guess they had those.
Yeah.
Because your father had one.
That's what my father did. Yeah, he wore a toupee, but I didn't ever want to do that.
No, well, that's similar like me. I never even considered anything like that.
No, the only reason to do that really, for me, would have been to get protection from the sun.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because the big disadvantage of being like this is
your head gets burned.
Your head takes the full force of the sun.
Yeah.
And you need to wear a hat.
Yeah. So he said, oh, I can leave this bit longer and cut this bit shorter, and
I can style it so you can do a comb over. And
oh, no way.
Just said no, thank you.
Thank God for that.
I nearly dropped through the suit.
Yeah. So that was in your 20s or something, I guess, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you're at university then, or you'd graduated then?
I'd graduated.
Okay, so you're working.
So I'm working. In Southampton, actually.
And at that time, did you have any colleagues or any other people your age that were going through the same thing? Or what I kind of mean is, how was baldness viewed back then? You know?
Well, I had a good friend when I was a student who was already bald.
Yeah.
He was 3 or 4 years older than me, but was already bald at that time. He must have lost his hair even earlier than I did.
Yeah.
But it was never mentioned, never discussed.
Oh, that's interesting.
In those days. Not amongst ourselves. There was no Mickey taking, nothing like that. It was just
part of life.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Fairly intelligent people around. Everybody was just accepted for what they were. There wasn't any nastiness or ribbing or joking or anything.
You grew a beard as well. I know there's a famous photo.
Yeah.
When was that? Your graduation?
That was my graduation photo. Yeah.
With a big beard and
with a beard. Yeah.
Wait, didn't you have long hair in the graduation photo? Like it's long here.
Yeah. Well, that was really before the baldness became very apparent.
Right.
Yeah.
But so you didn't go with no hair and a beard at that point?
No, I didn't.
No.
I had a beard on and off from time to time.
Yeah.
When I was a student and afterwards. Yeah. But the beard was not a response to the baldness. They were independent.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I
didn't link them in my mind.
Yeah, so I started growing a beard, I think, partly because I've gone bald, and I mean, you can't do anything with a bald head, style-wise. No. But you can sort of do that with a beard. You can do things
with a beard. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought I'd give it a go. Interesting. And then back then, I call it the horseshoe. Where you just have hair here.
Yeah.
There's different names for it, but I call it the horseshoe. And then you just sort of rocked that forevermore, didn't you?
Yeah,
just always, and just kept it short when you needed to.
Fairly short, yeah. Fairly short, and not as short as it is now.
And I remember Mum cutting it as well.
Yeah. Well, she was a hairdresser, so that was easy.
Yeah. So back then, were there any like treatments available for baldness other than so you can get the comb over, and the toupee?
Yeah, you would see things advertised.
Oh yeah, like drugs and things like that.
Oils and
I was like snake oil salesman.
Yeah.
But you never ever considered anything like that.
No.
But it was available then.
There were things. I don't remember specifically what they were called.
Yeah, you didn't do it yourself, because now you've got people going to the doctors and they get prescribed. Have you heard of Propecia?
No. I never looked. Transplant.
Was that available?
Transplants became available. I don't know, maybe 20 or more years ago.
Yeah.
I kind of considered that, but
really,
a little, yeah. But the success rate was pretty poor, I think.
Yeah, so. I think back then, it being new, and it was probably very expensive as well, wasn't it?
Very expensive, yeah.
And you get left with big scars on the back of your head and stuff like that.
So I thought, well, I don't want to look like a pepper pot, so
yeah, it's not worth it in my opinion, anyway.
So I pretty much dismissed that.
Okay.
And drugs I wouldn't use.
No. There's too many side effects because you're messing with your hormones and things like that.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
No. Okay, well, how about your family? You said your dad was bald. Do you have uncles and things like that?
Yeah, all my uncles. All my uncles, except one, I think, lost their hair. Both my grandfathers were pretty bald.
So it's pretty much in the family?
Both sides of the family.
Your brother's bald now?
He is now, but he kept his hair a lot longer than I did.
A lot longer than you did, yeah. What about Grandma's side of the family?
Yeah, her father was bald.
Oh, okay, so we're pretty stuffed for the...
Yeah.
I was doomed from the get-go, pretty much.
Yeah. There's nothing we could do about it.
No, okay.
But actually, your mother's father had a lot of hair.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
But Mum's brothers, she's got two brothers. We saw John today. He's
bald, yeah.
Bald. Brian, I think he's kept on to some of his hair.
Yeah. Brian a bit longer, yeah.
So it seems to be, it's not for definite, but it's if it runs in the family, it's a pretty good indication that you're going to lose it at some point.
It does appear that way.
Yeah. But there's, like you said, there's some people that lose it way younger than others. I think 26 whilst 26 is still considered young, I would say, to lose your hair.
It's young enough.
But I've got, there's people who are like 16, 17, who are losing their hair as well. Good. So you never decided just to shave it off like I do? And I was interested in that. Is that because back then
it wasn't
the whole
done
skinhead
in those days.
thing?
There was skinheads meant
neo-Nazis,
right-wing football hooligan, something that I wasn't involved in.
Yeah.
And the whole skinhead thing in the 70s was not for me.
Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting because I think it's slowly moved away from that. I guess as more people do shave their head. Just for me, I just feel, I don't know, it's a bit cleaner, tidier, I suppose.
Yeah. My response to it, the main response linked to the baldness, was to get contact lenses.
Okay.
And you might not immediately see the connection, but I used to imagine a conversation between somebody who was looking for me and somebody who knew me.
Yeah.
And the person looking for me would say, "What does he look like?"
Oh, okay.
And the person who knew me would say, "He's bald and wears glasses."
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I thought, oh no, I can't.
You don't want to be like that.
I can't go with that description.
Yeah. So just he's bald is.
So I got contact lenses.
Oh, interesting.
I also got them because I was playing a lot of squash and I didn't want to wear glasses.
I remember that. Yeah.
Playing squash.
Yeah, I do remember.
And I wore contact lenses for 20 or 25 years.
Yeah.
Until I broke one day, and
Never
the optician started to tell me that they weren't right for my eyes anymore. So then I gave up and went back to glasses. Very focals, folks. Very focals.
But now you kind of, I mean, you haven't shaved it off, but you've shaved it shorter for the first time.
Yeah.
The other day. Why is that?
Well, it's something I've been thinking about doing for 10 years or so, probably, because when you're almost completely bald and the hair starts to get a bit long and straggly and curly, you know, in various places, and, you just think, well, this looks a mess. And
just looks untidy.
Yeah, and if it's short, then
I think
it's
it looks
not such a mess.
And I think it does make you look a bit younger.
A bit younger, yeah.
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 Because bald with like this, and like you said, with glasses and whatnot, I mean, some people, fine, you can rock that look, but I think it really does make you look about 10 years older, 20 years older than you really are.
Mm.
Not you personally, I mean, but just generally.
Yeah. I'm not, you know, I look as I look.
Yeah.
It's the tidiness aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's another point. Rob, your brother, when I was having a conversation with him as well, he said, you know, we were talking about me shaving my head off and Rob losing his head, and Rob just said, well, I'm not that vain, so I'm not really worried about it, you know. But I think there is an element of that as well, you know. If you are really focused on your appearance and stuff like that, I think going bald is going to be a lot harder to deal with. I've never really been that way inclined. I guess you haven't either.
There are many worse ways to look.
Yeah.
I think. So
yeah, going bald is not.
It's not a big issue.
Yeah. No, that's good. Right. Well, to wrap this up, I mean, your advice to me was there's plenty of worse things that can happen to you, right?
Yeah.
Just get on. But what would be? Oh, it's windy. What would be your final piece of advice? Because now, you know, in 2018, I get so many guys who message me and whatnot, and they're sort of mid-20s, you know, and for them it's a real issue, you know. They think, oh, I'm gonna be so unattractive, you know, I'm gonna look weird. Even people say to me, oh, I've got a weird shaped head and things like that, and I kind of pass on the advice that you gave me. Apart from that, what's your best piece of advice for someone who's like struggling to deal with it? You know, they've just found out their hair's falling out, and maybe they're looking into all these treatments and whatnot.
Yeah,
what would be your best advice?
I would say, don't worry about it. Don't go for any of the treatments, because they're not going to work. And as you said earlier, the side effects could be nasty.
Yeah, worse than just losing your hair.
Yeah, and just experiment a little bit until you find something that you're comfortable with as far as your appearance is concerned.
Yeah, shaved head and whatnot.
Shaved head,
beard,
short,
glasses,
beard,
no glasses.
Different beards.
Yeah.
Just, keep experimenting until you find something that you're comfortable with.
And it's not that much of a big deal.
And it's not that much of a big deal.
Yeah, that's something I think you realise when you get over that bump of worrying about it, and you think, oh, never. When it's happening, you think, oh, I'll never get to a point where I just won't even be bothered by it anymore. But there really is that point, you know. For some people, it's longer than others. It took me about maybe 6 months.
Yeah.
But now I just, it's not something I ever worry about.
No,
and obviously for me now it's
it.
turned into a bit of a positive, helping out other people.
Yeah. And I think most people, I mean, they'll notice it, but people won't say much. Yeah,
because people have things that they're worried about themselves. You think, like, oh, everyone's looking at me and whatnot, but no one cares.
Very few people are perfect.
Yeah.
I don't think I can think of any.
So just don't worry about it, pretty much.
The only time it was ever mentioned at work was when a female boss of mine said something about not having any hair.
Yeah.
And I just said, well, actually I've got quite a lot of hair, it's just that you can't see it.
Yeah.
And she never ever mentioned it again.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Yeah, if you I think it comes down to people's reaction to it as well. It comes down to how you sort of carry yourself with it. You know? If you're sort of this cowering, you know, insecure, always trying to hide it, you know, people like to pick at that.
Yeah.
But if, like you said there, and you just, you know, when people ask me, I just say, yeah, my hair was falling out, so I shaved it off, and it's pretty much end of conversation in terms of talking about being bald there, because there's nothing really else to talk about.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. It's not the big issue that you think it is.
No, just don't worry about it. Get on with life, and if you're healthy, be thankful for that.
Yeah, that's another good point.
Because it's much more important
than your hair. Fantastic. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Dad. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Pleasure.
We've got 2 more days here, then we're back to China. And thank you very much for listening to the podcast episode 3. I'll be back again soon with more podcasts, more guests, and more videos on the YouTube channel. If you want to get in touch, the best place is on Instagram. You can find it at Baldcafe. You can send me a message on there. If you're watching on the YouTube channel and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you're listening on iTunes and Spotify, stay tuned for the next episode. I'll see you then. Goodbye. You say bye, Dad? Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.